Post-game live now. The basketball show gets going here inside Coleman Coliseum. Taylor Corn, Jim Dunaway, 94-85, the final on this historic day that saw the first ever SEC men's basketball matchup between number one and number two. And it felt like it was a 9-point, I know it wasn't, but it felt like it was a 9-point Auburn lead most of the day. And that started right out of the gate when Auburn jumped out to a 9-0 lead. Alabama never led. There were two ties. 39 of the 40 minutes Auburn was in the lead. 1 minute of gameplay was tied. And that's on Alabama's home floor. A dominating performance. Even though Alabama scored 85, I'm going to say dominating performance from Auburn's defense today.
Absolutely, and I think that's what, first off, has kept them in a lot of close games prior to today. Also, kept dribbling the game today. When they would go on, it was, I can't remember when exactly, but I think it was sometime in the first half. They went on a 3.5-minute scoring drought. And that's when the defense comes up so big. And we said all along, defense travels. Auburn's offense traveled today. And, I mean, their defense did too. They all around incredible game. Sorry, we just tried to put it in.
Well, I mean, we just had Janai Broom walking by here and, on with a big limp, but he gutted it out today. I would say one more thing before we get to the comments in the chat room. Was everything Alabama had to make seemed difficult. I mean, there was nothing easy for Alabama all day long on the offensive end of the floor, and that's why I give credit to Auburn's defense, but absolutely some monster offensive plays. One of them, when it was tied 65-65, Alabama had fallen back. The whole game fall back. And finally tied it up with 8 minutes to play, 65-65. And what happens? First possession, right across midcourt, one pass, and your boy Pettiford hits a three-point shot and it's 68-65.
Someone said we can't hear you. I'm wondering, can y'all respond and if you are having issues hearing us?
No audio from me, both of us?
I don't know. We'll continue on. Sorry to interrupt you. We'll continue on. And
can't hear you, Jim.
We can.
That's okay. Can we hear
it's
Taylor?
Very muffled. We can pass this back. Okay. Turner's going to be back. Okay, they said all good. Continue on. But also, I never even commented on what you brought up initially, which was that the hot start. And I think that is so impactful, especially when you're playing on the road, because it gives you that confidence. It was a hostile environment. Coleman Coliseum was packed to the brim, and that gives you confidence to start the game.
I mean, Miles hits the first one and gets 9 points, have a 9-0 lead on somebody else's floor. That was huge. She's louder, but YouTube, really low volume. Let's just use yours. You hold it and we'll talk. I'll read some of these here and we'll get going in the chat room. Jeff says the refs tried their ass off for Rammer Jammer there. Come on, Jeff. Thought it was a officiating fairly game.
Audio's bad.
You know what it is.
Okay, we should be good now, guys. I'm so sorry. Things are a little hectic around here, but we should be good to go. I thought
I don't like the officiating. I don't like blaming or crediting the officiating, whether you win or lose there. It is what it is in basketball, so you can bitch and moan about it.
Okay, much better. Sorry about that, guys.
Either way, that's on us. We apologize. So let's start over.
Let's start over.
All right, ready? Boom. All right, welcome in. The basketball show ready to go here now. Maybe we'll make an edit or something. 94-85. Auburn wins on this historic day inside Coleman Coliseum, the first ever SEC matchup between two number one and number two teams on the men's side. And as I said earlier, but muffled, I'm going to give credit to Auburn's defense. I know Alabama has 85, but nothing was easy for the Alabama offense today.
No, and I think we were expecting it to be a high-scoring game. I didn't think anyone thought that Auburn's defense can hold Alabama offensively to 65 points.
Right.
But their defense is what's kept them in games when games got close. And there were times in this game when it was tied, when things got close. Alabama fought back a number of times throughout the game. And early in the second half, they were going shot for shot. It was 3-3, like for a couple minutes, it seemed like.
Oh, no, that was the 8-minute mark when it was 65-65.
Right.
And then Pettiford hits the big shot, and then boom, here comes one. That was the only time that the game really felt like it was competitive from the Alabama side. That was, Auburn dominated except for that one brief moment where it looked like, okay, we got a game here. This was like 1 versus 2. For most of the game, Auburn pushed Alabama around a little bit.
Yeah, and Alabama turning, one thing that we talked about a lot prior to the game was a concern about Alabama's turnovers, and that wasn't really, there were a few times that things looked a little bit sloppy, but that wasn't a major issue throughout the game. So I know that you don't want to play the moral victory game, but walking away from this game, I think that's one thing that you thought could negatively impact the way you're playing.
7 turnovers for Alabama.
Right, and that's incredible in comparison to what some of those numbers have been earlier this season. But yeah, Auburn's defense played lockdown, and offensively, the hot start, I think, worked wonders for them.
Yeah. Aaron says Alabama fans leaving with 50 seconds left in the game, not a good look. That's usually when you leave. Elena, Rammer, Jammer, Yellowhammer, go to hell, Alabama. I guess cow tipping doesn't do enough. I don't know if we don't have intelligent comments. We'll just keep talking. I'll just roll through all these.
Don't be.
The Tide rolled to the door kind of early, don't you think? First 90 seconds set momentum, but Bama never quit.
They didn't.
That's what we talked about. The 9-0 lead, it ends up 9, ends up being the difference in the basketball game. And Auburn's biggest lead was 14. But every time Alabama would get it to within 3, or 2 or 1, it seems like Auburn would be boom, boom, back to 9.
Yeah, and you mentioned before we got our mics fixed, it was Tahad. It was primetime Pettiford. He plays fearlessly, first off, as a freshman, which is incredibly impressive. And he hit a couple of those big shots when the game was tight and they needed to hit a shot desperately because they weren't making consistent defensive stops.
Cody, I agree. Auburn's D was the difference. And I'll tell you this, too. Alabama's offense, in my opinion, got a little redundant, especially late in the game when after that barrage of threes, Alabama was in the game, it became Mark Sears dribbling and trying to, a lot of the game, not just at the end, but a lot of the game was Alabama's offense was dribble. They get down to 8 seconds in the shot clock, and Mark would dribble towards the rim and try to
draw a foul. Yeah. And towards the end there.
That's not their best basketball, I don't think.
Well, no, that's not a smart way to play because you can't depend on the refs making a call, to then be able to shoot free throws. You need to, which I'm not saying that they were basing their offense around that, but that seemed like that was the goal.
Well, it was because Auburn's defense was so good on the 3-point line,
right?
They felt like their only path to victory was to dribble in there because they had no open shots on the outside. Back to the defense. Ball hogging, John. That's what we're sort of talking about. Really, it's again. I think it was Auburn's defense that kept him from having anyone to throw it to.
Yeah, and that's what's separated them from others basically the entire season, and that's what the defense I feel like is what Auburn has been consistently good at over the past few years, but the offense they haven't had guards that hit shots in crunch time. And there have been times past, 6 of the last 9 games prior to tonight were decided by 8 points or less, and a lot of them came down to the wire. And I think not just in the Auburn-Alabama games, but in general, where Auburn struggles have come from over the past few seasons, a lot of the time is they can't get it done offensively when they need to. Defensively, they're able to make stops. They're not always able to score points when they need to.
6 Auburn players in double figures.
And 2 fouled out.
Look how balanced the scoring is. 19 for Janai Broom. You had 16 from Denver Jones, who, by the way, started. If you thought Alabama maybe could get back into it, he comes out and hits 3 threes.
He's back. Back. For those that were concerned about his shooting, he's fine. To
start the second half, my goodness. Start the game on a 9-0 run, and then he hits 3 threes to start the second half. Yeah. Doesn't give you a chance to get back into it. But Miles had 15. Denver had 16. Broom had 19. Pettiford had 13. Chad Baker had 15. 14 from Chaney Johnson. Just just the best team in the country, number one team in the country, and big offensively, but even bigger defensively. Just impressive.
And Cheney Tahad is one of the guys that a lot of times when I'm talking about, having no fear, playing fearlessly, not getting rattled when you're on the road, not getting rattled when you're playing elite competition, not getting rattled if you miss a shot. I think that Cheney also falls into that category. Tahad gets talked about a lot more because he's a freshman, so it's very impressive. But I feel like Cheney falls into that same category of he's very level-headed, he stays very composed, and that's something that was beneficial today.
Yeah, absolutely. So Auburn wins this thing. One key stat is, we'll get more of your comments here, was Alabama's three-point shooting. When Mark Sears made a three-pointer at the 9:32 mark of the second half, it was Alabama's 20th three-pointer and only their third make. It took 20 shots for them from three-point land for them to hit their third three-pointer. They were 2 of 19 from three at that point before that, and it was just a horrific shooting night before that moment for Mark Sears. The numbers get a little different for Mark afterwards, but I'll just read these to you. At halftime, Mark was 2 of 9, not from three, in the game, from the field. Grant Nelson was 2 of 7. Holloway was 2 of 7. 1 of 4 from Chris Youngblood. That's again, Auburn's defense and just not being able to get a clean, good look. And when you had a clean, good look, you just couldn't make a shot. You couldn't make a shot. So, I mean, there some of those shots early on were open, and they just missed them.
Yeah.
And then as the game went on, they didn't have open shots because Auburn's perimeter defense was so good. Can't say enough about Auburn. I mean, I had people I was sitting around from the national media, like, even if Alabama comes back and win this game, they still believed Auburn was the best team in the country. Even when it got a little close at one point, they were like, even if they come back and win this game, Auburn looks like the best team in the country.
Yeah, and coming into this game, I was concerned about it. I genuinely thought that Auburn was going to lose because of the way that Alabama had been playing recently and the way that Auburn had been playing. Auburn had been playing their best basketball the past couple games. They've looked like they looked tonight at points throughout the season, but over the past couple games, they've looked like they lost their so I don't even want to say this word, but I can't think of a synonym right now. Their swagger a little bit, their confidence. And they looked like they did during, the non-conference schedule earlier in SEC play tonight. And I think that's big to build on moving forward because of the struggles that we've seen since the Florida game or during the Florida game.
It started in warm-ups. I mean, they're playing Soldier. What's the song? I can't think of it. This popular song back in the early 2000s. Soldier Boy. Was it Soldier Boy? Is that a song?
That is a song. Yes. I'm not sure if that's what they were playing.
I know they were playing that one. And the bigs were dancing with the coach. The coach was doing that, and they were dancing, and they were having a good time.
They do that before every game, I think.
I mean, it was playing over the PA system.
Yeah,
they were dancing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's the kind of swagger and looseness that I think helps them so much. Bobby, Blake, you're literally the only person in the chat who isn't crediting the Auburn defense. Bama wasn't missing open threes early on for a brief moment, but later in the game, they didn't have open threes. They were all contested until they started shooting from 25 feet away. When Mark Sears even hit a couple of them, they were 25-footers. Bobby is spot on there. It was just the perimeter defense, the way they set up on the three-point line and play defense. If that's what they were talking about on game day today, and what everybody keeps saying about the Auburn team is they can beat you, playing fast. They can beat you playing slow. They can beat you playing the three game. They can beat you playing the inside game. They can beat you different ways, and they may be the only team in the country that in 5 styles of basketball, they can beat you in all those styles. Whatever your style is, they can beat you in that style. They can beat you in that style.
They might not want, and it might be ugly like the Tennessee game was.
That's a great point, 53-51. But they got in there and they beat Tennessee at Tennessee's game.
Right, exactly. And that's what, like you said, that's what a lot of national media, that's what they talked about on game day. That's what y'all talked about. And that is what makes this team so dangerous is it's not a situation where they're in trouble if they're trying to force you to play the style of basketball that they want to play and it's not working. They can adjust.
Great game. As an Auburn fan, I have to say I'm proud of both teams. Both will go far. Great for the state of Alabama. Taylor and Jim, awesome duo. Keep it up. Thank you, Mike, for jumping in. I'm interested to see how Alabama bounces back from this. I really am. We talked about how tough the schedule is.
Yeah.
And
I'm about to pull it up and see where
I mean, you were sitting here, you were in this place today, pregame, leading into it, and everything. This place was about as packed as I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was more than the place holds in here, and
yeah, it was packed.
Yeah, so much so our internet wasn't working.
No, that's
yeah.
Couldn't do much during the game.
Yeah,
guys.
we couldn't do much during the game, and we had struggles all day long, and it was overflowing in here, and I think a lot of Alabama's energy was put into this game, and when you lose a game like this with the schedule they have ahead, I don't know how Alabama bounces back from this. This one loss could turn into another one, maybe.
So they go to Missouri on Wednesday. They come home next Saturday and host Kentucky, host Mississippi State the following Tuesday, go to Tennessee that Saturday, host Florida, and then they come to Auburn. So those are 6 remaining games, and that is going to be a gauntlet of a schedule. And we knew that coming into this game, and that's why a lot of people were saying, I mean, the game's equally as important, but Alabama almost needs it more because they have the hardest remaining schedule in the country coming up.
Now, give me Auburn's schedule because Auburn now has the 1-game lead in the SEC championship race at 11-1 in league play now. So you've only got 6 games left, and they've got a game on Alabama plus the comfort of knowing they play them at the end down at Neville Arena.
They host Arkansas on Wednesday, host Georgia on Saturday, so they have 3 home games coming up. Yep. Arkansas Wednesday, Georgia Saturday, Ole Miss the following Wednesday.
You reacted like, I'm just realizing I'm going to be in Auburn for 3 straight
games.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I'm going to be driving a lot. They go to Kentucky after hosting Ole Miss. Then they go to Texas A&M and then come home to wrap up the regular season hosting Alabama.
Yeah, those last 3 games are very interesting games away. 2 of them away from Neville Arena, but then back home at the end. All right. So while I find more comments, anything else you wanted to? You were courtside down there today. What'd you see down there? Physical. There was one moment I know Chad Baker was talking to the crowd underneath the bucket. What was that about?
Yeah. So he got he didn't get. I don't think that he necessarily got pushed. I think he either lost his balance. I don't know exactly what happened. It wasn't like a dirty play. He fell out of bounds. Like that happens very often, and he fell, I think, over the media sitting on the baseline, and I don't know if he caught himself on the people sitting in this first row right here or what. The people watching on the TV broadcast probably got a better view of it than I did because it was right behind me, kind of. And I think he kind of, when he stood back up, I think he just kind of stood and gave them a little look. Not sure what or if he said anything. And then one of the Alabama fans sitting where he fell, which he very well could have landed on her, started getting a little animated with him. And then the next possession, he blocked a shot. And I think that the blocked shot hit obviously not purposefully. That is
the guy that was talking crap to him.
The lady, yeah. And she then lost it. She wanted him to get a technical. It was an ordeal. She was unhappy for the rest of the game, basically. I had a very hard time seeing what happened because it was like 3 people to the right of me, but there were some words exchanged, and I got the tail end of it on video, and I posted it on the Next Round's Twitter if you would like to go see what I got, but y'all probably got a better view of it from the TV broadcast.
Yeah, that was one thing about it being packed in here. It was probably it was the first time in my history of covering Alabama I ever had internet problems.
Yeah. Same. That's what I always am so complimentary of.
I know,
of how well the internet
works. That's how many people
here.
were here today. So,
and
but everybody around me was having some issues too. So it was just one of those big things. Bobby says, Jim, it was packed, but it was shocking to me how quiet it was in the second half when Bama was making a run and Auburn had the ball. Be loud, get Auburn rattled on offense. Well, I think I thought they got loud any chance they had. There was a lot of times when the team did not give them a reason to get fired up.
That's what I was about to say is there were moments in the game when it did get really loud. When they were going back to back hitting threes, it was extremely loud. Again, there were times when there wasn't much to cheer about. There were times when the Auburn fans were pretty loud. There weren't a ton that I saw. There was a little section up there.
It was more than it. They were spread out more than I thought they were going to be. You were able to hear them several times during the game. During the national anthem, I thought, man, Alabama fans did a good job of not letting Auburn fans get in here.
I was thinking the same thing.
But then when it was 9-0 really quick, I was like, okay, there's more Auburn fans in here than I saw.
Somewhere.
They must have not all wore orange because I was looking for the orange shirts, and there were a few of those around. So the dark blue in the high part of the arena I can't see.
Yeah, it looks like the lights were off.
Yeah, it's very dark up there. So the navy blue blended in, but it was a lot of Auburn fans in there.
Yeah, they were the majority of them, I think, were up in that corner over there.
Yeah, Auburn has played every big team in the country you can imagine. I don't know if that was a debate going on, but absolutely, absolutely one of the toughest schedules in the country, and they're number one in the country, and they'll hold on to that now without a doubt. And the CBS rankings came out today, and no surprise, Auburn's the number one overall seed. And with only 6 games left, they really don't have to do a whole lot to stay number one seed, and probably don't have to do a ton to stay number one overall. I mean, there's a gap between Auburn and everyone else when it comes to the metrics.
Yeah, there is. And I'm interested to see what all of the analytical rankings are that update daily multiple times throughout the day as games finish to see what Auburn's efficiency numbers are. There's one thing that I want to comment on. G said Chaney Johnson playing like he has lately takes Auburn to another level. I agree. And something that stood out to me at the end of the game, and when Dylan first, I mean, he was in foul trouble for a big chunk of the game, and then he ended up fouling out as well as Chad. But when you have someone that you can bring in off the bench that can produce offensively, when someone's in foul trouble, that is a big difference maker. Other than being like, okay, we have to sit Dylan because he can't foul out this early, so we need a body in there. He has been so impressive lately.
I would say, and you know this better than me, so you tell me if I'm wrong. I would say that Chaney Johnson's game is probably closest to Janai Broome because he can do so many different things. Like Janai can be, he can beat you from 15 feet. He can beat you from 5 inches right at the rim. And I think Chaney can do that. He has a nice touch on the jump shot, an outside shot, but he's really good close to the rim as well. I think he is. I think he's not Janai Broome, but I think he's as versatile, and as he grows into this, could be the reason why Auburn. It could be that one extra little burst that gets you to the moon and wins the national championship.
Yeah, and I think that his ceiling is super high. I think he's still developing. I mean, every player is always developing. You know, the more you play, you're expected to get better.
Either going forward or backwards, right?
Exactly. And I think, which I don't know, this might be tongue in cheek, and I might regret saying this in like 15 minutes, but I feel like Janai, like we know what he is. Right. And we know what we can expect of him, but I feel like Chaney hasn't reached anywhere near his potential yet. And that's something that Bruce has talked about multiple times throughout the season so far is just wait. Y'all are about to be impressed with Chaney. Like, just wait. Y'all haven't seen anything from him. And I feel like we're starting to see that now.
Yeah. Good time. It's a good time. It's
absolutely.
Down to the good part.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else you want to get to here in this post game? Bruce has finished his post game obligations and then came out and met the Auburn beat writers for a little extra coverage here courtside. Nate's in there right now. That was a great atmosphere. It was a fun day.
It was a fun
day.
It was a great
1 versus 2. Yeah.
It was a competitive game. Things got a little testy at times, as we expected, but nothing got out of hand.
No, I mean, Chad Baker was fouled out with a punch.
Okay, well, he also got shoved out of bounds.
He did. That's a basketball play.
Okay, so we're about to wrap up, and Dunaway's like, hold on, let me pick a fight.
No, I'm not going to pick a fight with you.
Never. But, okay, guys, don't forget, tomorrow we dropped the ball on this last week. I will say that I dropped the ball on this last week. It wasn't Dunaway's fault.
It's not dropping the ball when you have the freaking flu.
I know, but I feel bad when I'm like, we're committed to doing this every Sunday, and it would have not been great if I tried to talk. But every Sunday we do a mailbag, so we do a full recorded episode with Monday is released Monday morning for y'all. And it's just answering questions or talking about things that y'all would like to hear us talk about or like an opinion on. So I'll send something out probably later on today. Y'all can send questions, then be on the lookout for that on Monday morning around 7:30 Central Time, we'll say.
Yeah, and for me, my final thought is a big win for Auburn. They shot the three, really beat Alabama at their own game by shooting the three ball and then guarding the three with a great defense. And to me, that's the strength of this team, is that they can beat them the way they beat Tennessee, beat Alabama at their own game and their place, and everything in between. Beat Houston at their game and beat Iowa State at their game. So when you see the CBS bracket, you see all the people who are 1s and 2s. Auburn's already played them, and most of them they've already beat except for Duke. And I mean,
bring them to Neville. Let's see.
Sky's the limit. Well, you may get Duke again in San Antonio. You know,
I'm not gonna.
No, you'd be happy for that, right? It wouldn't be Cameron Indoor. You only lost by 4 or 6 at Cameron Indoor.
Yeah, didn't play their best basketball either. But
didn't play their best basketball.
Hey.
94-85, Auburn wins this historic SEC game 1 versus 2. They'll stay number 1 in the AP poll. We'll see where Alabama drops in the AP poll, but that's not the most important story. Most important story moving forward now, Auburn's in the lead to win the coveted SEC championship for the regular season, the one we recognize. That's the one that really matters the most. And then you get the opportunity to hold on to the number 1 overall seed, which is supposed to be the easiest bracket draw for March Madness, a chance to get back to the Final Four in the national championship. And for Alabama, for me, it's can you put this behind you and go tackle the tough final remaining 6 games against the elite of the elite, including a rematch game down at Neville Arena. That does it. Thanks for being with us, guys. We appreciate it so much. Auburn's a winner, 94-85 here in